Assalamu alaikum. That means peace be with you. Let's repeat it. Assalamu alaikum. And then you say alaikum assalam. And peace be upon you too. One question I like to ask, how many here that this is the first time they have been tackling and trying to get the whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Can they raise their hands? Let's give them a hand. A lot of people think that this is a complicated conflict. Other people say it's a very simple conflict. I like to start by saying it's a conflict. I like to speak about creative nonviolence. I like to speak about strategies, about ideas, about methods, and really about how you as an individual can make a difference in someone else's life. And before I want to do that, I want to thank Reverend Abu Akel because he dedicated this conference in the name of 3 women, and one of them my mother. I want to thank you so much. It is the mother that tells the children what to do, even when they are young, that strengthen their mind and ability and their heart. So for those of you who love your mothers so much, they are dear to you. I've been hearing in this conference many, many things. And really, it's an amazing conference, and I want to put my thanks for those who organize it and those who really work hard to bring everybody together. And I would like everybody to salute and give a big hand for those who did the conference. All right, everybody stand up. Thank you so much. I'm on the board member of the North American Sabeel, and I have been hearing few people over there saying this is the best one so far. So I want to thank Kansas City for that. And to thank Kansas City, I have to thank my brother. Where is Nick? In trying to get a strategy for nonviolence with the Palestinians, we now have to look on a different strategy. We cannot just do it for the Palestinian in Palestine and Israel. The situation now is completely different. And that difference of the situation, it has to do with Iraq and the United States invasion of Iraq and the occupation of Iraq. And also it has to do with Lebanon and Israel invasion to Lebanon. So a new strategy has to be designed also with the Palestinians on mind, but also with the Arab world and the Middle East. Being a Palestinian who is working so much on strategies, we find out that many things are happening in front of our eyes and we don't see it. One of the things is nationalism, Arab nationalism. Arab nationalism now is a failure. And I could say loud and clear, there's no Arab nationalism. I don't know if you could say there is Saudi nationalism, or Iranian nationalism, or Iraqi nationalism, but I think the Arab nationalism is gone. Something else have to take in place of the Arab nationalism. And what is taking place of the Arab nationalism is Islam. If you like it or not. That's what we have. And when Islam take that concept from Arab nationalism, it gives us a different direction. I'll give you some examples, very simple examples. When a Palestinian used to put a bomb in Israel, he was called a Palestinian terrorist. And recently, when a Palestinian put a bomb in Israel, he's not a Palestinian terrorist, he's a Muslim terrorist. Everything switched. What that also means, that in any Arab country, if there is election, the Islamists will win all the elections. It doesn't matter where that election is. And you, as a strategist, when you think of that, you have to think what we could do. How could we work out? And many times we have to thank United States for giving the Shia in Iraq a plate that come and rule Iraq, which is not bad. They are the majority. They are going to rule Iraq. And we have no choice. The concept of democracy, they like it and they love it very well, but also that's going to change. I want to go a little bit, adding more things of what Phyllis said, and that will be surprising for a lot of people. I want to talk about the victory of Hezbollah. Hezbollah have a victory, and you don't hear it so much in the American press. Why we don't want to hear it in the American press is because we do not care for any good news from the other side. We only care for news from one side. And what that victory is doing in the Middle East. First, it put Iran back in a position of power. And recently there is a poll in Egypt, and they put names. Who is, as an individual, you think, the best leader in that area? Anybody could guess who got the first vote? Nasrallah. Guess who got the second vote? The president of Iran. I'm talking in Egypt. So where is Mubarak? What happened to him? Not only where's Mubarak, where's the two Abdullahs? Because they somehow were able to make a change, and the influence of the United States, they told them, you have to either be quiet or come on our side or come against Hezbollah. Please understand, if you want to look at the strategy of the Middle East, that there is a very, very vast concept between the leadership and the people. I like to say it loud and clear. All the Arab leaders are corrupt. Unfortunately, I didn't say anyone, no, all of them are corrupt. It's very sad, even if the Palestinian leadership have so much corruption. And the people have been struggling so much. What is in that area of the Middle East that is not corrupted? That we want to search, we want to grab around our head, we want to make it ours. It's religion, and it is Islam. I'm a Christian. Why I'm saying that? Because if there is a salvation for us over there, Islam have to be the one. Christianity is failing us completely, miserably failing us. If you hear Reverend Don Wagner, he'll tell you about the 70 or 80 million Christian Zionists, that they don't even want to recognize us as Christians in the Holy Land. Going on the other side, the Israelis, they said, there's no such thing as Palestinians. We cannot trust United Nations. And you know what the superpowers are? So whom we can trust? And people could look at me and say, what in the heck you are saying? That Islam is your salvation? I say, yes. Islam is becoming our salvation, and because of your faults here and there and everywhere. We cannot move from one spot to another because I am a Christian, because of my religion. Please understand that very, very clear. If I am a Jew, I have the right to move, to build, to go, to come. But as a Christian, I was deported because I moved in the concept of nonviolence. If I'm a Jew who moved in the concept of nonviolence with the Palestinians, I will not be deported. It's because of my religion, that's all. Even one time, in one of the strategies I have, I said, I have to become a Jew. Not only that, I wish all the Palestinians become Jews. Then we all have the rights as all Jews. And that is one of the strategies of nonviolence. We cannot think that because of my religion, I have to be deprived of my home, my birth. And that's what I'm doing, of seeing my brothers, my aunts, all the family. So a Christian becomes to me as a burden, and I have to deal with it. Other people, when they hear so much of some fellow who is on the radio or the newspaper saying loud and clear that we as Christians, we are 100% with the Israelis. All right? So what happened to me as a Christian there? And if you look at Egypt, many of the Christians in Egypt are changing their names from George to Muhammad. Why? Because they are tired of what's going on in the Christian world around them, and especially in the United States. I'm not saying it's wrong to change religion, but they are forced to do it so that they would distance themselves from what is the Western religion. And there is a very, very nice proverb. And I don't know how that will fit in Palestine. They say the missionaries went to Africa with the Bible in their hand. And the African only have the land. After a few years, the African have the Bible, and the white have the land. And you cannot imagine, if you look really good within the Palestinians, many Palestinians welcome Jews to come because of what happened to them in Germany. Many, many Palestinians. They say we need to help them. You don't hear that about the Palestinians, how they help Jews from Germany. You don't hear it. We helped so many Armenians. They came to Jerusalem. We gave them homes. Even if you look at Jerusalem, we have one quarter, it's called the Armenian Quarter. And suddenly, we are not good for you. And that hurts. It's not that hurts, that makes life really a miserable life. Now, when you are talking about nonviolence, is how you could change all this life, which is miserable, to a concept of a change. And nonviolence, the strategy of nonviolence is change. How could I change you? How could you change me? How we could gather and make change? But let me go back to the Hezbollah concept, because this is important. That we here in the United States, we don't hear about things that are not in our interest, quote. You know that Hezbollah have 3,000 fighters. 3,000 fighters, Hezbollah. The Israelis have 18,000. The Israelis took the news media and everybody and say, we want to show you how we'll get rid of those, Hezbollah. For 34 days, they couldn't. What went wrong? Many, many things went wrong. And one of the things that went wrong is we as Palestinians, we are part of it. The Israeli soldiers, they trained in beating the Palestinians. The Palestinians, we don't have a lot of weapons. And they thought if they go to Lebanon, they are fighting like what we are fighting the Palestinians. They find out that Hezbollah have more weapons and rockets, that really fighting the Palestinian was a piece of cake. And they were defeated. Not only they were defeated, but the United States were defeated. And why United States were defeated, and they defeated badly? Because the United States thought that if we hit Hezbollah, means we hit Iran. And if we hit Iran, then it becomes an okay thing for us. So United States, as Phyllis said, that, oh, Bush said, no, no, we don't want ceasefire. And later on, not Hezbollah asked for ceasefire. The Israeli asked for ceasefire. Because at the end of nearly the 34 days, the Israeli want to have more soldiers there, and Hezbollah were planning to surround them, and they will kill them all. Another thing also you don't know, that the number of people who died in Hezbollah comparing to the Israelis is the same. The same number. But over here we say, oh, we killed so thousands of them, and 1 or 2 of us died. Why the press, the American press, like to lie on you as Americans? Why they treat you, in my view, as a 3rd or 4th grade in school? And you accept that, and you swallow that, and you say, hey, that's our press. We are a democratic country. The press have the right to lie to us. And we don't challenge the press. We don't challenge them. I'm saying that because ask Israelis. They have that information I'm telling you. Yet in the American public, that information is not there. In a strategy then, in the Middle East, what we have to do, we have to have in every Arab country a center for nonviolence. In every Arab country. And that becomes something that we have to make it in the whole Arab world, that they will see that nonviolence can be an activated concept so that it will help not only the Arab world or the Islamic world, but also their own people over there. And we got a grant to start one in one of the Arab countries. The other grant we got, I'm talking about Nonviolence International, is how we start one in Iran. And for those of you who have been in my workshop, we have those packages. We are translating them to Farsi and to Arabic. And we are start doing it to push hard the concept of nonviolence in the Arab as well as in Iran. Why Iran become important? Iran become important because of the lack of leadership in the Arab world. We don't have a leader. We say, hey, look at him. He's able to speak the truth. Or look at her. I don't think we have a hair in the Arab world. But at least we hope that sometimes we'll have a hair, even a corrupt hair. we need that. What I would like you also to start thinking, please don't get the jargon and the words of the Israelis. Many of you who work in churches or who work on NGOs, automatically, some people, they don't like me to call me a Palestinian. They like me to call me, oh, he's from the West Bank. Well, that's not a word we call ourselves in the people. We call ourselves Palestinians. We are not West Bank. And the Gaza people, they are from Gaza, but Gaza is part of Palestine. They are Palestinians. And many times it's like it shocks some people to say Palestinians. Can you say Palestinians to me, for me? That's important. Why you call me West Bank? You can't say Palestinians. And look how many times in the pulpit of the churches. And this is the strategy that we failed in. And for you who are ministers here, you will say, uh-oh, now it's our turn. Yes, it's your turn. We are calling ourselves a Judeo-Christian culture. And this is a very discriminatory concept as a Judeo-Christian. It becomes very difficult to go to church to hear the New Testament. Somehow, somewhere, that people are saying to anybody, don't ever use the New Testament without using the Old Testament. We have to balance all the time. And it's like, I said, what's happened to our churches? Why all the balance? If I'm speaking over here, you have to balance me with 1 or 2 or 3 Jews. It's a balance. We have to have a balance. I'm not against Jews, but why you balance me? How come when Jews speak, you don't balance them with Palestinians? Why Christians balance me, but they don't balance them? And people don't think, no, 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 we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. You are very touchy. Well, I come from a university that they are very, very touchy. I teach at the American university, and happen all the deans of the university are Jews. And they like to balance. And when we try to hire even an Israeli, Arab, they say, no, 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 that's not balance. And when we show them the list that they're all the deans are Jews, they said, well, he's an Israeli, it's all right. These things are becoming part of our psychic. Not only that, why on elections, if you want to run for an office, probably if you want to run for a mayor or you want to run for a governor, the first question, do you support Israel? Why they don't say, do you support Bangladesh or support India? Why Israel? Why Israel get in our politics even to be a mayor of a city. In Washington, believe me, if you are a county commissioner or a school board, do you support Israel? What it is in our psychic that we have to support Israel to be a mayor of a city or in a school board. What it is. Are we choking ourselves? Or is it a strategy that becomes part of our psychic and we cannot get rid of it? I don't know. Tell me. I have no answer for these. Have you ever stood up in front of people in Washington and then there wouldn't be a question about Israel in any press conference? It doesn't matter what the press conference is. About environment, you name it. We became so much obsessed with Israel that it becomes part of our life. We like it or not. It might be that's what you want. Or you are not aware of it, but now you are aware of it, check it out. And if you follow the newspaper, the New York Times or the Washington Post, maybe I have to bet with you on one time that there will be nothing about Israel in any of those. Every day there's something about Israel. But if we have 600 people died in some other place, we don't hear about them. And think of those, how it affects us, how the Palestinian-Israeli conflict affects our life in every day, everywhere, and we don't know about it, and we accept it as this is the truth, and this is our everyday life. In the villages, you saw the settlers, and we have a strategy of how we could go and train villagers. And we have village after village come to the center, which is in Bethlehem. My nephew, his name is Sammy, he's doing the training. They go for 3 or 4 months to the village and live over there and train the whole village in becoming nonviolence. And many times, a lot of question of nonviolence become part of our psychic. What about if the Palestinians become nonviolence? This is good, not for the Palestinians. It's good for the Israelis. What we have to do with the Israelis if we become nonviolence? You want us to be nonviolence for the sake of the Israelis only. You don't care for us. And that's where we have to switch and to make a different point in our life. That people are nonviolent because they choose to be nonviolent, not because to help the Israelis. And I have that question so much. What about, but if the Palestinians choose nonviolence, the Israeli will give them peace. The Israelis, they were scared of nonviolence as violence. And at this time, in the history of Israel, they don't want peace. I'm talking about the government of Israel. And the Lebanon war, very unfortunate, is going to delay any negotiation or any peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis. So the Lebanon war is going to hurt the Palestinians. Not because we are against Hezbollah or anything, no, it's going to hurt us because the peace process between the Palestinian and Israeli is going to be on a completely different burner. Now, what the Israelis are going to do, in 1973, when they lost with Egypt, they decided, well, we could go and have a peace treaty with Egypt. And this time, we think, everybody think, it will be very nice that if they go to Lebanon and they have a peace treaty with Lebanon. That's the good side. On the other side, they might do completely different. That those Hezbollah, they trick us, they understand our security, they beat us, beat our intelligence, they beat us on land, they beat us in everything, even in public relations. we have to hit them again. But this time we are going to hit them harder. That's what worries me in what the Israelis think. So how could we prevent that? I don't know. I have no idea. The other thing that is scary, I think Jonathan mentioned it, or maybe Jeff mentioned it, that the idea of getting the Palestinians out of Palestine, just kick them out. It might not work, but what I'm afraid of, that the Israelis somehow, with the fight within themselves and the religious fight, and they see that the United States behind them 100%, that they will go and say, we need to build the temple, and the time is right. So they will come and destroy the Dome of the Rock. And for those of you who don't know where's the Dome of the Rock, is the Islamic shrine in the middle of Jerusalem, where Muhammad, he ascended to heaven there. What will happen? The Americans and every American, proud American, be behind, and the administration, that this is the right thing to do. The Muslim will burn the American flag and the Israeli flag for a week, maybe a month, and everything will settle down. And we lose again. Boy, say you are a doom person. No, I'm talking very much on a strategy that you start thinking what can be done. It's very sad, but those are the things that we have to be afraid of. It's not that we are having more conflict with the Israelis, because I am one of those people who believe it doesn't matter how big the wall is or how many the settlements are, anything that built by man can be destroyed by man. Thank you. In trying to find ways of dealing with the issues, the Palestinians, we have no choice but to work with the Israelis. We cannot work with the Arab world. The Israelis will be our second bet. The Israeli citizens have to make the change in their government, in their willingness to have peace with the Palestinians. And believe me, knowing Arafat very well, he told me, Mubarak, you think I made the right decision to come from Tunis to be under occupation of the Israelis, that they have my head, my body, and everything I have under their control. And foolishly, I said, yes, you make the right decision, because I think the Israelis are now interested in peace with you. And that was wrong. You cannot imagine, if you are head of a revolution, you put yourself under the mercy of those people who occupy you, thinking that this will show them that you want peace. And you saw the maps. The Arabs accepted 22% of Palestine. They said, we'll accept that. The Arab world said, we are going to recognize Israel. Full diplomatic relation if the Palestinian-Israeli problem is resolved. And that for the Arabs to say that, Saudi Arabia have to pay more billions and billions of dollars to all Arab countries to accept that. They did. But the Israeli didn't respond. So you have to say, like yesterday, what the Israeli wants. What they want. And that becomes our first concept Do they want a war between Judaism and Islam? They cannot win. They can win between Israel and the Arabs. They want that, and they show us they could win that. And if they want that, why they want that? And Israel and Israelis, they cannot continue to be in the Middle East, but European in the Middle East. They have to be part of the Middle East if they live in the Middle East. They have to come late to meetings. They took our hummus and become Israeli hummus. They took our food, but it's all right. But the idea is that they cannot continue as they are and saying to the Arab world that we live here in this small country, small area, surrounded by thousands and millions of you, and we want to beat you up. Okay? It's impossible. And I was telling so many Israelis, I said, please, when you are trying to do so many curfews on the refugee camps and in villages and cities, that you will receive so much problems later on. And you know what those problems are? Babies. Palestinians have babies. The more curfew, the more babies. And the more babies are the more people we have more population than the Israelis. So where is the logic then if we as Palestinians that we have more numbers of Israelis inside of Palestine? Where's the logic is? And can we as Palestinians say to the whole world, we are going to treat the Israelis as they treat us? Oh my gosh, don't do that. Please don't do that. They treat you badly. And we have to tell the Israelis, why can't you see we as Palestinians, we are human beings? You cannot kill us. You cannot destroy our spirit. You tried it so many times, so hundreds of times. We are there. We are going to be pain in your butts. We are not going to go away. And if you are not going to go away, there is only one thing you could do with us, is to sit and have peace with us. When we are willing to do that. And we are willing to do that. Oh, Hamas or this or that doesn't mean a thing. You cannot occupy me and then say, well, recognize me that occupy me. And they are telling Hamas, recognize the occupation. And it doesn't matter if Hamas recognizes Israel or not. Israel is not going to do anything with Hamas. And these bullshit things are going so much, and we grab them so fast and say, yeah, but if Hamas recognizes Israel, everything is all right. Don't accept those crazy ideas. The Palestinians for 9 years, not a single bomb have been in Israel. And you think one time the Israel will say, hey, we have peace and there's no bombs, let's talk. They said no. When we start putting bombs, they say, we cannot talk with you, you put bombs. For God's sake, this or this, what you want. And those are the things that it reflects the whole concept of what we are doing. We have to change the mentality of the Israelis, and the mentality of the Israelis as well as some Americans, that we are equal to Israelis. We are not better than them. They are not better than us. We are equal to them. They don't give us this or give us that. We are not a charity case. And this is what the Israelis are afraid of us, to be equal with us. We can compete with them in education, in business, in any form and shape. We don't need the help of the Israelis. By the way, one of our speakers said, well, it's a colonization. Maybe Jonathan. But I say colonization sometimes is good for those people who colonize us. Look at the Germans. They built so many schools. And the British, they built schools, hospitals. Tell me the Israelis, they did something, one thing good to the Palestinians with all that 50 years of occupation. Not a single road, not a hospital, not a clinic. Colonization sometimes good for the people, but there's nothing good comes from the Israeli occupation, nothing good. And that's where we have to start the strategy of nonviolence. How we have to deal with that. And people say, oh boy, it's tough. I say, no, it's not tough. And what we have to do is start with ourselves. That we have to accept one condition, that we as Palestinians, we don't kill. Not only killing Israelis or killing ourselves, that we have to commit ourselves that killing is wrong. And if we are doing that step, if we go in that step, that we are all the children of God, and we should not kill any child of God, that becomes our first step in recognizing that the other person is important in the sight of God as we are. The second one, which is important, when we are talking about nonviolence, is that we have no fear. And how to work with the Israelis who are afraid. I was, for a long period of time, feeling that the Israelis really are using the word fear. And they are not afraid. And I find out, no, they have fear. And for God's sake, they should have fear. Somebody take your home, your land, they should be afraid because you are coming to get it. And we are saying loud and clear, if you want my car, buy it. Maybe $100, $200, at least buy it from me. But if you take my car and you put $10,000 to fix it, and you didn't buy it from me, that car, doesn't matter how much money you put in it, it's mine. That car is mine because you stole it from me. And that's why we say to the Israelis, fellows, you took the land, you know what land you took, you know how much it cost. Okay? Some land, we can get it, other land, you have to pay for it. And that's part of making peace. What's wrong in that? What's wrong in that? Usually the Israeli wouldn't pay, you have to pay for it. But it's important for me that my land is being paid for, or I have the option to have the land. You are not aware also that in Taba, 95% of the problems have been resolved between the Palestinians and the Israelis. 95%. Yeah, Taba. And when that being resolved, that means Jerusalem being resolved, the issue of Jerusalem, and I'll come to that later to see what's the problem there. But even we have some Palestinian leadership accepted the concept that the settlers could stay in Palestine under Palestinian control, as much as an Israeli could stay in Tel Aviv or Haifa or Jaffa or Nazareth. Under the Israeli control, the Israeli could stay under the Palestinian control. And if there is peace, you don't need to worry about it. There's no worry about it. Why to worry? You could buy a land in Tel Aviv, they could buy a land here, and everything is becoming very simple. You have to respect each other. That then becomes the problem of the refugees. The problem of the refugees, I have a solution to it. And that scared the heck of so many Israelis and so many people. And I've been working on it, and I'm not successful. So I need your help on that. And I'm trying to tell the Palestinians to burn the refugee camps. Burn them. Just burn them all. And walk. Walk to the river. Don't look back. And we have thousands and thousands of Palestinians that they could walk. And if you are interested as a Palestinian, not to stay as refugees, and you want a solution of your problem, this is the time to do it. Death will be much better than staying under any other Arab regime. And if you are willing to do that, let's do it. Let's work on it. And that will scare the heck of everybody. And imagine you have more than 1.5 million, 2 million Palestinians just walk. Non-violence cannot be on a small scale anymore in that part of the world. This is the strategy. It has to be big. It has to be big and have to contain that. Imagine if we will have all those Palestinian march, and we have a march of Palestinians and Israelis from the other side to welcome them. In nonviolence, we don't say that there is no way or there's no alternatives. There's always an alternative. Nonviolence, you cannot fail. There's no failure in nonviolence. There's a change of techniques, we call it. But we are working on that. We are not getting there. Unfortunately, we are not getting there we have different groups, different meetings, but we are very, very far away from committing ourselves that we have to pick a day. It doesn't matter. If we pick a day in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, we'll be able to do it. I like to end with a concept of justice. Okay, because justice is important. And many times we say peace without justice is no good. And I like to add another: peace, justice, but also it has to have reconciliation. We have to reconcile. I mean, if I am willing as a Palestinian to reconcile with the Israelis who killed my father, destroy my land, my culture, kick me out of my homeland, and I'm willing to say, give me the hand, I'm willing to shake hands with any Israelis. I'm willing to reconcile. Because the new generation, they might not have that. And that's what we need to think of and pray, that we have reconciliation, we could have justice, and we could have peace. But it is the important thing that we have to treat each other as every individual, that they have the right to live on this world, and they have the right to live any place they choose to. And that is what we call a community of children of God. Thank you. Thank you.